Don "Wink" Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, is exactly opposite of what Vic Fangio's fundamentals are. We need to explore the Buffalo Bills' upcoming game here when all the hype is around McDermott and Dable. But how will this Buffalo Bills offense under Ken Dorsey perform against Wink Martindale, a second-year defensive coordinator under Brian Dable? Hey, Bills Mafia, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be examining the Wink Martindale defense as an outliner and how the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen can exploit it this week. In previous weeks, we've explored defensive coordinators, and sure enough, that upcoming game really presented exactly what we spoke about. We need to understand his philosophy, his coaching tree, coming from the Baltimore Ravens, and ultimately what he stands for defensively. Here we could read that Martindale's pressure breaks pipes philosophy, meaning that his team leads the league in blitzes with pass rushers disguised before the snap and then one or two scheme to get open pats directly to the quarterback. Martindale's defenses were among the best in the NFL in his first 3 years as defensive coordinator with the Ravens from 2018 through 2020. The Ravens teams never reached the Super Bowl, but were always serious contenders. And once again, the article reiterates Martindale's willingness to blitz, and you could see they're comparing Martindale to Joe Judge in previous years, stating that the former defensive coordinator had more of a passive zone defense than Martindale. We could also see that Martindale's first year as defensive coordinator for the New York Giants under Dable was not that great. It finished 25th in total yards allowed, tied for 17th in points surrendered. The Giants were plagued with injuries in the secondary, but it also states that the lack of talent at linebacker. Because of the lack of talent at linebacker, the Giants signed Bobby Okiari, who we're going to speak about in a second, to a 4-year, $40 million contract. Martindale seeks to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands as fast as possible, but the extra potential pass rusher he often puts up front blitzing with one less player in coverage. That puts a premium on defensive backs who could play on an island in man coverage long enough for the pressure to get to the quarterback or force him to throw to a receiver who is not yet open. The Giants were among the league leaders in percentage of defensive snaps played in man coverage, around 50%, and that was despite a series of injuries that kept their best defensive backs off the field for a good fraction of the season. That goes against the raging NFL trend towards the Vic Fangio style defense, who Josh Allen just tore up. The Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator approach that seeks to disguise coverage rather than pass rushers and shows a lot of too high safety shells prior to the snap. And it's not just Vic Fangio. League-wide, about 2/3 of dropbacks since 2020 have been against zone defenses. Don "Wink" Martindale calls man coverage. We have to understand how our wide receivers and how Josh Allen does typically against man coverage, and Don Martindale sends blitz, scheming up a guy to get to that quarterback, to force the ball out quickly, to hopefully get that quarterback to throw into coverage. I hope you guys saw in my previous week's videos that Josh Allen statistically actually struggles passing the ball against the blitz. But on the other hand, against the blitz, Josh Allen's running ability is shredding the NFL, setting NFL record, the history books on fire. So knowing that Martindale could send a blitz, Josh Allen might statistically struggle passing it, but with his escapability, we could very well see a huge running game by Josh Allen versus the Giants this Sunday night. And this attests that it's also the quarterback and how well the quarterback does against blitz and man coverage, not only the wide receiver. But it says it's not easy to isolate the performance of a receiver from that of a quarterback throwing to him. Traditionally, statistics such as receptions, yards, touchdowns are not always the best indicators of a player on either end of the pass attempt. And this even says, as fans of Daniel Jones are quick to attest. Pro Football Focus tries to address this by separating receiver performance into 3 categories: the routes run, contested catch success, and yards after the catch. This shows how successful a wide receiver is at getting open and it is the most independent of the quarterback of these three measurements. You can see the graph here. Positively graded routes yield more yards across all depths. Here are the 2022 regular season grades facing man versus zone defenses for all the top wide receivers that were targeted at least 30 times. And what we have to do is eye on Stefon Diggs. The green line indicates the dividing line between whether a wide receiver is better at zone or man grade. You can see Diggs is very, very close to that green line. Diggs is slightly better against zone coverage, but it proves that Stefon Diggs is a well-balanced wide receiver. It's not only that Diggs is better against zone coverage, knowing that Martindale is going to be calling a lot of man. How is Diggs going to do in man coverage on an island? I really believe Diggs is going to shred things up this week against the Giants. And it's clear that Martindale is going against the trend in the NFL with using such a man defense. We learned several things from this article: that last year the linebacker play lacked talent, and they're still the linebacker crew of this year. So how can the Buffalo Bills exploit linebackers? How about Dawson Knox? How about the Terminator, Dalton Kincaid? Giants run a 3-4 scheme using many linebackers on that field. The outside linebackers are really defensive end pass rushers, whereas the inside guys are those coverage people that are going to be matched up on Knox and Kincaid. We could see Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden are the guys that are in the interior of this Giants defense. Here are the stats so far in 2023. Bobby Okereke leads the Giants in total tackles at 42. He's got 3 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, 1 interception, and also 1 forced fumble. Micah McFadden has 31 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection. We're going to get into him in a second, but Kayvon Thibodeau has 4 sacks on the season, an outside linebacker offering that elite pass rush. The Buffalo Bills utilizing 11 and 12 personnel, matching up against these linebackers. Bobby Okereke is 6'1", 235 pounds, likely going against 6'4", 6'5" Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. That is a huge size advantage for the Buffalo Bills. Micah McFadden is a little bit taller at 6'2", but only 232 pounds. And we can also take note that McFadden is dealing with an ankle injury and did not participate in practice on Wednesday. Knowing that their linebackers lack talent already, and knowing that McFadden could potentially be out this game, it is really starting to brew up a successful game for Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. A lot of the hype was lost on Kincaid, and I'm thinking this could be a huge day for Kincaid. Kayvon Thibodeau, who does drop back into coverage occasionally but is more a pass rusher, is 6'5", 258 pounds. This is one of the people that Martindale schemes up to get a free run at Josh Allen or opposing quarterback. And here are the grades for Bobby Okereke and also Micah McFadden, as well as Kayvon Thibodeau. You could just kind of see how fast they are. You know, Okereke is 89 speed, 90 acceleration, 82 agility. He's pretty aware. Micah McFadden, who might not be a go this game, is still fairly fast at 85 speed, 91 acceleration, 83 agility. But here is where it gets interesting. Knowing that Martindale forces these linebackers and corners to be in a lot of man coverage, how are they at man coverage? And we can clearly see that they're really not too good. Bobby Okereke at man coverage is 66. Micah McFadden is only 52. And both of them are actually better in zone coverage. Okereke at 72 and McFadden at 57. We have to understand Don Wink Martindale, his tendencies, how the Buffalo Bills do against those tendencies. How is Josh Allen normally against the blitz? How is Stefon Diggs against man coverage? Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, Gabe Davis. How is this Buffalo Bills offense going to perform against the New York Giants? The first point I want to make here is that teams have been playing the Buffalo Bills with 2 high safety shells all season long with a ton of zone coverage. We've seen the Jets, the Raiders, the Commanders, as well as the Jaguars calling a ton of zone against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. This could very well be the first game that the Bills get a little hint of man coverage. So how is Stefon Diggs going to do? How are these tight ends going to do? And I really think this is the game for Dalton Kincaid to really break off and do some big time things. We see Sam Laporta leading the NFL right now as a rookie tight end. A lot lot of the hype was lost with Dalton Kincaid. A lot of bickering going on, stating that Dalton Kincaid has one of the shortest route trees in the NFL right now among 45 tight ends with 7 targets or more. Dalton Kincaid, his route tree is only 4.2 yards of depth. The Buffalo Bills will have an opportunity here to utilize Dalton Kincaid in some deeper routes to progress that route tree, especially against man coverage. So yes, in my previous video, we diagnosed that Josh Allen statistically does not do too well against the blitz passing the football, but against the blitz and him running it, he is elite, setting the NFL on fire, setting record books on fire across the NFL. So we could see a few different things unfold here. Josh Allen with his highest total rushing of the season versus the New York Giants Sunday night. We could see Dalton Kincaid finally break the ice and explode and maybe get his first receiving touchdown of the season, as well as Stephon Diggs going against a single island cornerback. I truly believe the Buffalo Bills offense is going to flourish against Don Martindale's defense. Maybe not as much as Vic Fangio. We could see some minor adjustments throughout the game. This is a true test for Josh Allen to prove that he can continue to beat man coverage and continue to force teams to call zone against us. There is a reason why teams have been calling zone coverage against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, because that is what has worked. Even going back to last year, the Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs, calling a lot of zone, forcing the Buffalo Bills to find a second option to Stephon Diggs. Well, Don Martindale isn't going to even enforce that. He's going to be calling a lot of man coverage, something that Josh Allen has excelled at, something that teams across the NFL really have not presented to the Buffalo Bills schematically, because we ultimately fare well against it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like, subscribe for future content. Check the link in the description for the Dalton Kincaid Terminator t-shirt with free shipping at Buffalo Fan Shop. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are truly enjoying this insight, in-depth insight for these defensive coordinators I've been breaking down on a weekly basis. So if you did, again, hit like, subscribe. That's how you support my efforts for the channel. And go Bills.